Team's doing well. Those ticket prices go up. More than that in a minute, but good morning. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday. I'm Amy Lang.
And I'm Ryan Armani. Right to our top story here, the return of winter-like weather causing dangerous conditions on the roads last night.
Icy streets being blamed for accidents, including a huge pileup involving dozens of vehicles in Redford Township. Fox 2's Robin Murdoch is live with the very latest on that. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning, Amy and Ryan. Yeah, the latest estimates on that crash is that anywhere between 30 and 40 cars were involved in this. It was just a massive pileup that took crews roughly 8 hours to clear all away, but just in time for the morning commute.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It looks more like an elaborate movie set than an icy overpass here in Metro Detroit. The destruction going on and on and on. This labyrinth of crushed cars covered the overpass at Telegraph near Interstate 96 in Redford Township for some 8 hours. Slick conditions causing the chain reaction crash. MDOT spokeswoman Diane Cross offering some insight into what to do if this happens to you.
Unless your vehicle's on fire and you absolutely have to get out, truly, my advice is stay in your vehicle buckled up. Not just in your vehicle, but buckled up. Because then if you're hit, you're in the safest position to protect yourself.
The chaotic calls started coming in around 7:30 on Monday night and did not let up. Investigators with the Redford police are still trying to tally the total number of vehicles involved, but estimate dozens, somewhere between 30 and 40 cars. Several you can see were crushed by the impact. Some had their airbags deploy, while others suffered very little damage.
Bridges, ramps, and overpasses freeze first because they've got air coming underneath them. So that's where you're going to get the icy parts first. And unfortunately, Telegraph over 96 last night, we had some kind of a burst come through.
Once the bridge was cleared of all the mangled metal and debris, we are told crews checked the concrete wall to ensure it wasn't compromised at all from the massive pileup. The roadway finally reopening around 3 in the morning, just in time for the morning commute. What happened here, though, hours before, hard to forget. And the fact that there were no serious injuries, hard to imagine.
Really, we could not ask for a better outcome than that. That idea that no one was killed, no one was seriously injured. How fortunate are we? Because we all know it could have been a million times worse.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Now, that MDOT spokesperson does emphasize the need to really slow down and keep your distance in bad weather. They say that you really need to drive for the conditions, not for the posted speed limit, and we cannot emphasize that enough. Of course, when Redford police have an update on those crash numbers, we'll be sure to pass them along to you. For now, we are live in Redford. I'm Robin Murdoch for Fox 2 News.
Yeah, Robin, thank goodness no one was seriously hurt. I mean, that really, truly is a miracle in and of itself. But gosh, what a good warning for all of us, because the weather wasn't that bad. Let's face it. It was a little bit wet out. It didn't seem to be that slippery, but you get that black ice. And again, of course, obviously on those overpasses and everything. I think this was a warning, and we're all very fortunate that nobody was injured badly, and we all need to really take that to heart and slow down.
Yeah, you are so right about that. Things can change, instantly in a situation involving bad weather. So you really do just need to be aware when you are behind the wheel. And I actually did talk to a woman who was involved in that crash off camera. She tells me that she really did see her life flash before her eyes. Everything happened so quickly. So we really do need to use this as a reminder just to take our time out on those roads. Back to you, Amy.
Especially with everyone getting on the roads for the holidays. So please be careful out there, everybody. And Robin Murdoch, as always, we appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Amy, Robin, thank you. A similar scene in western Michigan with lake-effect snow squalls crippling commutes in the Kalamazoo area. The weather being blamed for this pileup on I-94 yesterday morning. There were reports of injuries. It is not clear how severe those injuries are. The eastbound lanes closed for 6 hours. Crews worked to clear those roadways.
Yeah, and those spots were underneath winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories, and you really don't need much in order to create issues out on the roadways when it comes to just that winter-like precip. Numbers right now, though, not bad. In the grand scheme of things, they're pretty close to where we should be for this time of year. Luckily, we are not adding more to that in terms of snow over the next, say, 24 to 36 hours. 31 degrees right now in Detroit. A lot of us here starting to inch closer to that 30-degree mark. Out near parts of central Michigan, up near Battle Creek, you see numbers mainly in the 30s there. And a quiet radar for us right now. Across the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, there's not a whole lot going on. And I think over the next several days here, you do have a quiet weather pattern in place. That snow we saw yesterday moving well off to the north and east. Precip chances today remain dismal, so a nice little break from any rain or from any snow. Numbers today approach the seasonal mark. We should be in the mid-30s. We'll hit a high of 35 today here. That'll hit during the early part of the afternoon. Then we'll see those numbers come down the later part of the day today. 35 degrees. I think we're dry with a partly to mostly cloudy sky during the day today. Not a whole lot of sunshine on tap for us. Over the next couple of days, though, even though we remain cloudy, we do remain dry. Next chance for rain arrives during the later part of the work week. We'll have timing on that system and what to expect for your holiday weekend as well. And the forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Ryan and Amy?
Stephanie, thank you. New this morning, some pretty big changes will be coming in the new year for parking enforcement in the city of Detroit.
So that includes some things that have never happened before. Citywide parking safety violations will now be enforced on Sundays for the very first time. So those violations include blocking fire hydrants, alleys, or driveways. But meter parking will still be free on Sundays. The city's parking department also announcing that starting January 2nd, enforcement will begin for the new residential parking zones. Residents will need a permit to park, and enforcement will begin in the zones one at a time, beginning January 2nd into February. Those zones are Cass Park and Selden, Southern Brush Park, and Central Brush Park. Once enforcement begins, it will take place 7 days a week, so residents are being urged to get those permits online now at parkdetroit.us. And other news now, this happening overnight, a peaceful resolution to a barricaded gunman situation on Detroit's west side. Well, this all started at about 9 last night at a home near Finkel in Wyoming. Police telling us there was a gathering at the house when an intoxicated man allegedly pulled out a gun and began threatening people. Everyone else made it out safely, and the man stayed inside for several hours before eventually surrendering at about 2 a.m.
A man shot by Sterling Heights police officers last week is now facing charges. 28-year-old Akil Cleary is accused of trying to hit officers with his vehicle during a pursuit last week. Police say Cleary refused to stop when officers tried to pull him over for driving without headlights. The chase reaching speeds of over 60 miles an hour in a subdivision at 15 Mile and Dodge Park. Before Cleary pulled onto a dead-end road, that's when officers say he drove toward them, and then they opened fire. Cleary is still recovering. His bond is set at $100,000.
And investigators make an arrest in a 43-year-old cold case. The body of 21-year-old Karen Umphrey was found in the Beards Hill gaming area in St. Clair County by two hunters back in November of 1980. DNA advances led them to Douglas Laming, who's now 70 years old. He was living in Fort Gratiot. Investigators also spoke to people who knew both Umphrey and Laming to help piece this case together.
There's court proceedings to be followed here, and I'm not going to confirm or deny whether he's had any kind of relationship with her in the past. The work's not done. We never stop working to cross the finish line. We're not there yet.
Well, he was arrested on Friday and is currently being held without bond.
Well, in Macomb County, authorities say they've shut down a prostitution and human trafficking ring.
So the suspects are three women who were accused of forcing immigrant women into prostitution at massage parlors and spas around Metro Detroit.
They were prisoners in these spas.
Women from China forced into human trafficking, working as prostitutes at spas and massage parlors in Mount Clemens, Shelby Township, Fraser, and two more in Livonia.
They're being held. They're here, maybe they're promised, a better life coming to America, and then they're trapped again. Didn't have transportation, didn't have housing, weren't free to go.
Macomb County Sheriff Anthony Wickersham says the women were forced to sleep at the spas and solicit sexual acts. There were even sexual advertisements online. The workers rotated through the various spas every month and a half or sooner if they were not earning enough money, traveling back and forth to Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin. The investigation started with a tip a year and a half ago and still isn't over, now encompassing multiple cities and states.
It was a tip that came in, and it started out as a small investigation, and as most investigations do, the more our guys and gals kept digging, just turning up more and more information.
On December 13th, a multi-jurisdictional task force executed 9 search warrants in several cities, arresting 52-year-old Jaehong Ban, charged with running a house of prostitution. She was at MGM Casino. Investigators say casinos may have been used to launder the money from the human trafficking ring. Investigators are still searching for 2 other women, 31-year-old Lori Kai and 41-year-old Shu Ying Ding. As for the 7 women survivors, 2 are with Border Patrol after overstaying their visas, and the organization Turning Point is helping others, offering a safe place to stay.
Turning Point provides services for survivors of human trafficking, sex, and labor. We provide housing, counseling.
Investigators say they seized $35,000 in U.S. currency and $6,700 in Canadian currency. Money was also being sent back to China. Authorities are still reviewing more than 20 cell phones and other electronic devices seized during the raid.
There are other women out there that are being held captive and into this industry, so we can either take action or notify the appropriate authorities, and whether it's a different state. So there's still a lot to do.
The ones that are participating actively with this, they should know that this is a criminal act, and as such, they will be prosecuted.
In Mount Clemens, Amy Lang, Fox 2 News.